Soccer situation.
All right, welcome to Ep.3 of Soccer Situations. I'm Todd.
And I'm Alex. It's funny, though. I was actually just at a meeting today with somebody from Meyer, and we were talking about Great Lakes Coffee's unionizing of their baristas.
Oh, yeah? How's that going?
Their whole response is basically they shut down all their cafes.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Wow. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yep. So that's one way to respond to your employees unionizing. Just close all of the cafes that they work in.
That's so ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
In Detroit, too. You're going to be trying to act like you're the Detroit coffee company and you're going to union bust?
Yep. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. One of the biggest unions, the UAW, the auto workers, that's like one of the biggest unions in the country, and you're in that backyard and you're gonna try and union bust. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane.
But not surprising from their management.
No, absolutely not. You know, Greg, the original owner of that company, I don't know how involved he is anymore. He's a really sweet guy, but their investors are full blown, just like, they come from Romney country, just like, money hungry. Yeah, it's not surprising.
They're not of the people for sure.
No, definitely not. I staged at Big Star. I bartended at Big Star with Paco this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How was that?
I want to learn a little bit more about bartending, and it was super fun, of course. They had a ton of staff behind the bar, so I wasn't getting killed or anything. Paco had a lot of time to show me cocktails and tell me about mezcal and whiskey. Yeah, it was super fun. It's nice to have that skill set. Oh, super nice to have that skill set.
Yeah.
And Paco is one of the best in the biz to learn from. He's a good source of knowledge in that world. It was super fun.
That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Well, should we move on to the football? I'm sure you're eager to talk about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No wonder you're avoiding this. I forgot.
No, I'm not actually feeling too bad about it. So the Premier League, the English Premier League, opened this past weekend. Opening game was
Crystal Palace Arsenal at Selhurst Park.
Yes. Why don't you talk about the game, Alex? I'll let you take the lead here.
It was, as an Arsenal supporter, a nervy fixture to open with. Here comes the cat right on
Twigs. Little Twigs.
Twigs making his first appearance.
I think he can hear me.
He might be able to
he can't hear me. You have headphones on.
I have open back headphones, though. He might be able to hear you still. So Crystal Palace Arsenal starting it off. Selhurst Park has not been a kind place to Arsenal in the past few seasons. We've gotten spanked there a few times. I think a couple 3-0s. But yeah, the game started out hot. I would say in the first 15 minutes, I was like, we're winning the league. This is it. This is it. We're the best team of all time. We took it to them intensely from the moment it started. And we're just like, the cute flicks were flying, and Jesus was chasing all over the place and nutmegging people. And it just looked like it was like this is something we haven't seen from Arsenal in years. But, reality settles in the Premier League. 15 minutes kind of cooled down into like a classic Premier League fixture like that, where it was just a little more nervy. Palace started getting a few chances here and there. Arsenal's attacks, the build up got a little bit slower. But it wasn't too bad. Martinelli got the opening goal, which I kind of predicted. I wasn't the most confident prediction in the world, but I threw him out there as a possible goal scorer.
You called it. Don't be modest. You said, I think Martinelli will bag one. He's due. I don't remember you saying that.
He was due. He got it. He got a header.
He did miss an absolute sitter before he scored the header.
Yeah, he almost made me look a fool with that miss.
I picked up my phone to text you a lull, and I thought better of it.
The clearest chance. That was probably the clearest chance of the game, really.
Yeah.
I think Ramsdale had a one-on-one save at one point, but yeah, it was a pretty easy chance for him to miss. But yeah, he made it up for it. Nice little header off of a nice set play from a corner. I mean, Xhaka again. A little. He had his moment. He had his moment of silliness, which was
You're just like,
it's just, it's yeah. It's not surprising at this point, but it's frustrating because I personally love the player, but he can't help himself but do something silly, and that dive was a blatant, almost to the point where I was like, maybe he wasn't looking for it. Maybe he knew that he was just, he knew that he wasn't gonna get it, and he just went down anyway. But then it's like,
right. It did kind of look like that's what he was arguing when he got up, right? Like,
yeah.
Like I wasn't going for a dive, or trying to get a call. I just fell down.
Yeah, like he didn't want a free kick or whatever.
Right.
But,
yeah,
it was still pretty bad. it was a bad. Dive.
Yeah, just with Xhaka, it's almost, when it's Xhaka on a yellow for something dumb like that, it's not even about that incident. It's like, oh boy, what's he gonna do now? You know?
I mean, he does the classic break up the play foul all the time, where it's like a blatant pullback,
right?
And then all you need is for him to slip his mind and do one of those in the second half, and he's off, and the game flips completely. So, which is not a narrative we're not familiar with. So, but yeah, it was a decent first half. It definitely kind of petered out a bit toward the late side of the first half, and then the second half, Arsenal, no changes. It was kind of more of a scrappy half. Palace definitely came into the game a lot more. They were getting a lot more chances, putting us under more pressure. Our attack seemed to be a little less coherent. They weren't linking up quite as well. I was shocked, though, I have to say, at Jesus' ability to hold the ball up. He's a lot stronger than I expected him to be, because he's not a big guy, but he does well against some big defenders, putting them under pressure to like kind of hold it up and kick it back to somebody and link the play up.
He seems strong,
which I wasn't expecting, because like everyone was saying like he's our 9, and I was like, is he though? Is he actually going to be a number 9? Is he actually going to be able to play that role? And I mean, it's only been one game, but he looked the part. He was doing what Lacazette was doing with hold up play and bringing a little extra. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Defensively, I think we looked mostly sound. There were still the moments of like Arsenal kind of madness where the ball would ping around the center of the box a bit. Palace had some big players. The center backs on corners, and then they have some big players up front too. Is it Mateta?
Mateta, yeah.
Yeah, that dude is a beast. He's massive.
Yeah, for sure.
So they started causing us problems in the air a little bit. But I think overall, Saliba and Gabriel did really well. I think Saliba got man of the match, which he was really good. He was cleaning up everything that came through.
You've been waiting for him. Satisfied with what you see so far?
So far, I think this is like why Arsenal fans were so frustrated with the way things were handled, which, to be fair, there was only one real issue in that, and it was the 6 months where they didn't get him a loan club and he was not registered as a player. Right. Was a complete waste of 6 months of a player's career. So that is a huge mistake to make up for. Right. As far as loaning them out, obviously the loans worked. Like, you can't argue that. His loan at Marseille was amazing. So like he needed that playing time. And right now he's, we'll see, long season ahead, but it's proving that they did the right thing by letting him go on loan and then come back.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was a scrappy end. Arsenal finally sealed it in the 85th minute. That was a relief, huge relief to get that, because I was not confident we were going to hold on the entire time. I just figured, when it gets late and it's 1-0, I just wait for somebody to pop up and poke one home.
Yeah, like you said, you got history with Palace. And Palace is a big physical team. Those kind of teams, you never know, Yeah.
Yes. Zaha could die. He could get a little divey free kick on the edge of the box, and next thing you know, you're under pressure and they squeak one in. It's definitely not unlikely.
No, that's never a game you can take for granted with a 1-goal lead. Never in a million years.
Yep. But not bad. Not bad way to open. I'll take a 2-0 at Selhurst Park all day for opening fixture.
Hell yeah, that's a dream. Liverpool's opening day did not go as well.
Yeah,
you might remember
a little more about that.
I predicted a 3-0 win for Liverpool. Wound up a 2-2 draw to a promoted side. Which, I feel like there's always at least one promoted team that springs a surprise on opening weekends.
It's true.
And I got to say, like, it being Fulham, I'm not so mad about donating Fulham a couple of points. Anyway, my first thought when they were coming out of the cottage was how much older Marco Silva looks. The championship ages a man, because he was like a young, hot, like sexy manager. He always wore like tight little black coats and stuff. Last time I was like, not anymore. He's grizzled.
He kind of started. He was almost one of the first, like in modern times, of like the modern, like fancy, nice dressed, well fitted suit kind of guys.
Yeah, he was definitely of that wave for sure. And he's a good manager. I always thought it was really silly when he left. Was it Watford to go to Everton?
Yeah.
Why take that sideways step? He was getting so much hype. He could have gone to a bigger club if he was a little more patient.
Wait it out. Keep doing well.
Yeah. But his teams have always played like really exciting football, and it looks like his Fulham team is going to do the same thing. They blitzed us right out the gate, and we didn't have a moment. They almost gave a template on how to play against Liverpool, honestly. They pressed our midfield so well. Our midfield just could not hold the ball. Last week I said Kevin De Bruyne was kind of the player that could have an off game and just throw off City's whole game. I think Liverpool player like that is probably Fabinho. And Fabinho, my boy, had a terrible game. He was a mess. He was behind the play the whole time. He wasn't reading danger like he normally does. His short passing was off. And when he plays like that, which isn't often, to be fair, our midfield just gets overrun. Absolutely overrun.
Yeah, it seemed like they had the right game plan of like targeting the core of that midfield and disrupting it, and making sure you guys couldn't link it together.
Yeah, no, we really could not connect our midfield to our attackers at all. We started with the exact lineup I predicted. I think we both predicted our lineups 100% accurately.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I got to say, Firmino coming off for Nunez was a game changer in this Liverpool game. And I think that probably set Klopp's mind in stone for the next week. I think I would be shocked if Nunez did.
You think Nunez gets the start? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how much I love Firmino.
It's hard not to.
Firmino's my guy. Like, absolutely love the man. I think he is the totem of the Klopp era of Liverpool. I think he still brings something to the team no one else does. But our attack just was not happening until he got swapped out for Nunez. And I can't remember the minutes of both of these subs, to be honest. But I thought the Milner for Fabinho substitution was also like a really crucial substitution for getting us back in that game. Milner came on and just absolutely killed it, as he always does.
That man is ageless. He just can't stop.
Yeah, it's really weird. he famously, I think other fans know this now, but Liverpool fans have been watching this like intently for years and years. And every preseason they do the lactate test, where they just run laps, and after every lap they take a little blood sample and they measure the lactic acid buildup to see who has the best stamina, and they just keep running until it hits a certain threshold. And Milner wins it every single year.
He's a machine.
At this point, he's like decades older than some of our players, and he's still in just insane physical shape.
It's amazing. I mean, the guy is, he's awesome. And he's just a good, steady player that you just want in your side.
Yeah. Definitely a player I think you don't really appreciate until you see him kind of day in, day out.
Yeah.
And he's not a lot of shit about Milner back in the day.
Yeah, definitely. And like he's not a player I don't think you want. Like right now, you wouldn't want him in your starting 11. Like I don't know if you want. Like you're not relying on him week in, week out. But as a squad depth player, like you can't ask for anything better than him.
Yeah, when you plug him in, you're not worried about it necessarily.
Yeah, he's gonna do his job.
Yep. Nunez made a good debut despite the game finishing in a draw. Goal and an assist. Apparently, the first Liverpool debutant ever to bag a goal and assist in their first game. Yeah.
That's a fun stat.
Yeah, the goal was absolutely gorgeous. A flick worthy of Firmino or Giroud, maybe Olivier Giroud.
Yeah.
Just that pinged in ball, like off the instep of his back foot.
Yeah.
Great goal. His assist, I think, was accidental, but I'm going to give him credit for it. Again, he kind of just his first touch on like a really heavy pinged pass. Just kind of went off his foot right onto the pass.
Perfectly in a pass.
Slotted it home.
It looked pretty good.
It did. It looked great. The point is he was obviously generating some trouble in the opposition box. That was great to see. Oh, I should talk about Fulham's goals a little bit. I complained about them a lot on the day, and I'm still not super happy with either of them.
Yeah.
They're the kind of goals where opposition fans, I'd have semi-legit complaints, but they're never really going to get turned over. As Klopp said in the post-match, we didn't deserve to win that game. Fulham was the better team throughout that game. Yeah. They played great. They played us exactly how you should play us, and they got a point that they deserved. I was furious with the Liverpool performance, honestly. Last week I said we hate that early morning kickoff. Yeah, and we played exactly how I pictured us playing in those games. It's funny because we play literally the way you feel when you just get out of bed. And you're like, your environment, you're in your house, but you're still like bumping off of furniture and stuff because you're like kind of wobbly and like just a little disoriented. That's how Liverpool play when we had that lunchtime kickoff every single time.
I get that. But, I mean, I wouldn't want to play at that time if I was playing.
No, I don't think so either.
Your routine's so different for that kind of kickoff.
Right.
And like athletes are all like obsessive nuts when it comes to their routines. So your meals are different, your timing's different, like everything is different.
Let's talk about Manchester United and Brighton.
Oh man. Do we have to talk about that one for United fans?
Let's go to the Theater of Dreams. I talked about Marco Silva looking older. Graham Potter has also evolved a little bit. Did you notice the black on black, like 3-piece suit?
Yeah, looking a little gruff too. I like it.
Yeah, dude, he's definitely like his reputation leveled up last year, and he is leveling up. He's going for it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
he deserves it. Like Brighton scares me.
Yeah, Brighton's good. I think on the day we talked a little bit. I was like, man, if they had a real number 9, no disrespect to Wells,
no, they would be deadly.
They would be deadly with a proper number 9.
Yeah,
they should sign Anthony Martial on loan.
Yeah, honestly,
they would tear it up.
They should have taken. They should have tried to get Balogun on loan from us or something, like somebody from the league. There's plenty of young, good strikers around that aren't getting full game time. They could have scooped up.
Right.
The window's still open. If they can add a 9 or a goal scorer, I'll definitely be terrified of Brighton.
But in this particular game, they didn't need another striker, actually. They did just fine with what they had.
They just needed Pascal Gross.
2 goals for Gross in the 30th and 39th minute. I think Harry Maguire said that after the first goal, they just fell asleep for 9 minutes until the second one went in. I think most neutrals or Brighton fans watching the game would argue they had been asleep for the whole half.
Yeah, they didn't wake up the first
remained
half.
asleep for the second half for most of it. Yeah. No, it's kind of too easy to pile on United right now. Everyone's been doing it all week. We can move on to their transfer strategy in a little bit, but it really just looked like a continuation of their form from last year. I saw no hint of a Ten Hag revolution. And again, I don't want to dunk too heavily on them because this is the first game in a new manager's regime, and, it takes time. It takes time.
He's got a lot of problems in that locker room. It's going to take time. I mean, as obviously we both take extreme joy in United's misery.
For sure.
But, as an Arsenal fan in recent years, this has happened to us so many times. Like, we've been overrun by teams like this who just come out with full energy and your squad's not there up for it, and you just get ran over before you can do anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's essentially what happened to Liverpool this weekend, too. We managed to fight our way back into it. But
you guys had enough talent to get a couple goals back, but...
Yeah, but you can get blitzed by a young, hot team, especially, these teams have motivation going to a place like Old Trafford.
Absolutely. They're up for it 100%. And if United players aren't up for it, you get one goal, that first goal goes in, the heads go down, everyone's, they don't have any confidence in that team. Like, there's no confidence in United's team. And they have, it's crazy when you look at the money they've spent and the names in their roster, and you're just like, well, how is this so broken?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, do I want to continue talking about the game, or should we just move on to their transfer strategy? Because it doesn't seem to be getting any better. This week, all of the major headlines are pursuits of Arnautovic and Rabiot.
Yeah.
Two men considered pretty poisonous locker room presences. Maybe Rabiot more so than Arnautovic, but never mind the fact that Arnautovic is 33 years old and played a couple of years in China and is now playing for Bologna in Serie A. Obviously not the profile of player that Manchester United fans want them to be chasing. So much so that today I've read that due to fan response and so forth, they're actually killing that deal or no longer pursuing it.
Arnautovic, I saw that. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Like, why? Yeah. But, what are they thinking?
I honestly don't know. He has played for Ten Hag in the past.
Oh, has he? Okay.
I think at 20. Where was Ten Hag before Ajax? I think he played in the Eredivisie with Ten Hag, so he knows him. He's a proven goal scorer enough, but
I mean, he's a disruptor. He can cause problems for teams, but you're not a mid-table or relegation club looking for some Premier League experience that can come in and rough it up and bag you a few goals.
No,
you're supposed to be the premier club in the league, and you're looking at a 33-year-old who hasn't played in the Premier League in ages and is nowhere near the level he was last time he was there.
This episode of Soccer Situations is brought to you by Littlefoot Coffee. I mean, what can I say about Littlefoot Coffee? They're not just friends of the pod, they're family of the pod, quite literally. Alex started Littlefoot years ago after more than a decade of roasting experience, roasting coffee for some of the hottest, most fashionable, and most importantly, tasty specialty coffee roasters in America. My favorite thing about it is that it's just really high-grade coffee without a drop of pretense. You're not going to find a bunch of weird, savory notes that the roaster is passing off as intentional. It's just really sweet, comforting flavors that everybody wants in their coffee. And now, for a limited time only, you can get 15% off at littlefootcoffee.com. Promo code SITUATIONS. Once again, you can get 15% off at littlefootcoffee.com using the promo code SITUATIONS.
we have both been through rebuilds and managerial changes at our respective clubs fairly recently. I guess it's been 7 years since Klopp now.
Which is insane to think about.
Right. But I still have it keenly in mind. When you see the squad picture of the squad he inherited and the work he had to do, the thing is, I feel like Manchester United fans want a new manager to come in and be challenging for the title. I'm like, that's not how this works. The first step is what I saw in Arsenal this weekend, which is, this is a team that's having fun. They're going out there and they're getting after it. And like, that is the first step. And I remember that in Liverpool too. It's like, oh man, this team is like enjoyable to watch again. They look excited. You can't just skip straight to, all right, we're championship contenders again,
Which I think is exactly what United's been trying to do.
I mean, they need to forget looking at the team, their upper office, really. But that's a whole other
100%.
Can of worms.
And
also, you have to wonder if they don't try and jump straight back to championship level because they don't really have a choice. Because, God damn, they have the most toxic fan base ever. Ten Hag was booed off at halftime and full time on his first day on the job.
Right? That's insane.
Absolutely insane. No matter how bad Liverpool played, like that would never ever happen in a million years.
Yeah.
A new manager getting booed off the pitch after 45 minutes. There'd be frustration, murmurs, they might not be singing. They sure shit wouldn't. I mean, I can't think of a time I've ever seen Liverpool booed off the pitch at Anfield.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not a great look for the club. And I feel for Ten Hag. He's going to have a hard season if they don't, obviously it's first game, but if they're already on your back in the first game, I mean, Arteta can sympathize. Last year, there was Arteta out after the first couple of games, we had 0 goals, 9 goals conceded, no points. Like and Arsenal fans, he had already had some time at the club. So like they had a little bit more reason to be unruly, but the English fans are a lot of them anyway, are very like quick to jump like that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty unforgiving. It's a toxic environment. The bigger the club, the more so it is.
It's true. And it's funny. So talking about their transfers, I think other clubs are so aware of their mentality and their who they think they are still, that they overpay for players constantly too.
Right.
Like even like Lisandro Martinez, they signed and he was heavily linked with Arsenal. It looked like he was going to move to Arsenal.
Should have conceded a penalty, by the way.
Yeah, he didn't look fantastic. I took slight joy in that. But no, he like everyone was like, "Oh, Ten Hag brought him in. He convinced him to come." Arsenal were offering about £45 million for him. I'm pretty sure United ended up paying 60.
Right.
So like you can say Ten Hag was the reason, but like really the reason is United
financially
forked over more money than Arsenal were willing to for the player. So like, it's things like that where like they know they can get 60 out of United if they just hold out and make, they're desperate enough to spend it.
Right.
So it's not a great situation for the club to be in either. They're known to have the money and to be willing to splash it recklessly. But we'll see. Long season ahead, and there's still transfer window to come. We'll see if they can finagle a couple of deals.
Yeah, I got to say, it's almost making me a little worried how much people are enjoying dunking on them and how ubiquitous the dunking is. I'm like, when it gets this bad, I feel like it can backfire. Like, this is when a story comes out and they turn it around, So let's go a little easy on them.
Yeah, Still a long season ahead. Brighton can do that to you sometimes. They can run you over.
And that's a good point, Alex. With all the talk of Man U, Brighton did not get enough credit, I think, in the media this week. They were fantastic.
For sure. That's another club that's done it to Arsenal. They've done that same thing where blitzed us in the start, team lacking confidence, just can't get on top of them until it's too late. And then you're in like the 80th minute trying to squeak out one goal to get back in the game. And
right.
It happens.
I didn't have any notes in the running order, I don't think, but let's talk about Manchester City a little bit.
Okay.
we don't really need to go into the game too much, but we should talk about Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
City ran out pretty comfortable 2-0 winners with Haaland scoring both goals. And just really, truly showing how terrifying he is, I think.
Yeah.
I said we saw glimpses of it in the Community Shield, even though he missed some easy chances. The fact that he was getting close to those chances. To win the penalty for his first goal, that acceleration was so explosive to beat the keeper to that ball. And it wasn't even close, dude. It wasn't even close. Like, I don't know why that keeper was even running out at him. He got to that ball so easily. And the penalty then was so clinical. It was just like an assassin's bullet.
Literally tapped off the inside of the post and in.
Oh, my God. Just so lethal. And then his second goal.
Yeah.
God, you make that run with that speed and that through ball from Kevin De Bruyne with the defense spread out like that. That's like so iconic, that run and that goal.
It really is.
For me, it reminds me of Torres. Every football fan sees that goal and can relate to it. You know what I mean? That's it's like the Jumpman Jordan profile. If that's iconic basketball dunking, this is like an iconic striker's goal, running through the defense like that, latching onto that ball and just slotting it home. It was so deadly.
Yep, timing that run perfectly. That player like De Bruyne just has that lethal timing to release that ball just in time for him to be onside and and
he's
so much faster
like a razor.
He looks too.
Oh my God, dude, he's so fast.
It's insane. He looks like a big bumbling idiot, and he just can sprint like a maniac, and finishing is just unreal.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough.
Truly, yeah. After that game, I was. This is obviously the day after Liverpool's game. I was firmly in the mood. It's they're going to waltz the title this year. They're going to waltz this shit. It's not going to be a 1-point title race this year.
Yeah.
That was pretty bleak viewing for a Liverpool fan, I got to say.
We'll see. I mean, West Ham did not look good. They did not look like they were up to speed for what they are capable of either.
That's true.
And I mean, it may have just been City overrunning them and City just too good for them. But I feel like West Ham was also not at the best. I mean, that's a little bit of hope that they, maybe City's not going to just trounce everybody this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It was ominous. We'll just say that.
Yeah. The only other game I watched was the Tottenham game, which was not pleasant viewing. As an Arsenal fan, Southampton scored first, and I was hopeful that maybe it would rattle them a little bit, and put pressure on them to perform. But it didn't look that way. They look pretty scary. But it's still the same. To me, it looks like the same crew that was been scary from the beginning. So, they got Kulusevski. Yeah, he looks dangerous. He looks like a good signing. Son and Kane are obviously going to do their thing. I don't know if I'm terrified of any of the signings they've made, making them that much better, but they definitely looked good, and they'll definitely gain some confidence from a nice 4-1 win.
I think it was Vish on the Ramble who made a really good point. He predicted that we're about to see a golden era of the North London Derby. Because both teams are kind of in similar points in a rebuild. They both have pretty fun, dangerous squads right now. And they're at a similar level where Arsenal and Tottenham can push each other to greater heights. And that can fuel some fire,
That's actually a great point. Yeah. And I think I feel a lot more confident this year with Arsenal putting up that fight in that North London race than I felt last year. But yeah, no, I can't wait for the first North London Derby. I think it's going to be an absolute banger of a game. There's going to be goals galore. I'm pretty sure it's going to get feisty. All those Brazilians out there running into each other. It's going to get feisty. There's going to be lots of drama. It's going to be a stressful match, but I can't wait for it. It's going to be exciting.
Right on.
Portsmouth versus Cardiff. Interesting final, especially now thinking about that final. Portsmouth and Cardiff City. What an interesting final. How does that happen?
Right.
But like, I think this is around like a time where you and I were kind of really starting to kind of pick up our fandom a bit of the game.
Oh, yeah, I would say we're a few years deep at this point.
Yeah.
I remember knowing it was weird that Portsmouth was in the final. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And at the time, if I remember correctly, Portsmouth was in a relegation battle, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Didn't they go down that year?
They did go. Yeah, they did go down. At the time, obviously, in the league, it was the usual suspects. It's changed a little bit more. Like at that time, it was Arsenal, Chelsea, and United were kind of the three big teams. Liverpool was still kind of on their rebuild. You guys had a good.
It was a big four, Alex. It was the big four. All right, show some respect.
I'm trying to think.
Arsenal or Liverpool were the fine print of the big four, definitely.
It wasn't long after that they were like, you guys pushed for the title a couple times.
No, the very next year.
Yeah.
08-09. 08-09, we finished just shy of the title.
Yeah, so we were actually trading places at that point. Arsenal was on the downturn, and you were on the upturn.
That's true. This was the prime of Rafa Benitez's reign.
Yeah.
Torres.
Yeah.
We had a real Spanish team at the moment, you know. Benitez was not shy about recruiting tons of Spaniards. That's off subject.
Yeah, off subject. But back to Portsmouth. So at least for me, when I first started, a little bit about my journey into loving English soccer was it all came from FIFA. And Arsenal was my team in FIFA. But my backup team in FIFA was always Portsmouth. I always loved Portsmouth. They always had like I loved all their African players. Yeah, they were like the one club in England at the time that had a whole like a lineup of African players. They also had their Thai Beanie Baby jerseys, which were another big seller.
We could do a whole episode on Portsmouth kits. They had the best kits.
The best kits.
Every year, dude. And all of them, they're home, away, they would just be sick, always. I still look for Portsmouth kits on eBay all the time.
They're the greatest. They have so many good kits. But like, just so these names may not mean anything to fans nowadays, but listen to these names I'm about to list off from this lineup of Portsmouth players from the final. So up front, Kanu,
decent
Arsenal legend Kanu.
Yeah.
Suli Muntari, Nico Kranjčar.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Flashlight. Yeah.
John Utaka, another Nigerian.
Yeah. Iconic.
Yeah. Lassana Diarra.
Oh, last Diarra? Yeah.
Yeah. Real Madrid's Lassana Diarra.
Right.
Sylvan Distin. I know, right? There's a Norwegian that I don't know if I can pronounce that name. I'm gonna move past him. But the next two, Big Sol Campbell, another Arsenal legend. And then a little Liverpool connection at right back. Can you guess who it is? England right back.
Oh, that would be one Glenn Johnson.
Glenn Johnson at right back.
And then, not too bad. Yeah.
Not too bad. And then the David James in goal.
Oh, legends all over the pitch.
Oh, I'm not even done. Look at this bench. David Nugent, the Nuge on the bench.
Shit.
Milan Baros.
Oh, another Liverpool
Liverpool
boy. I
boy.
didn't know he went to Portsmouth. I don't remember that at all. I loved Milan Baros.
Yeah, great player. And then obviously my boy Papa Bouba Diop.
I just liked him because he had that amazing name, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a great name. Such a good name. Same with Luwa Luwa. That's why I love Luwa Luwa as well. It's a great name. But yeah, no, that's just like a ridiculous lineup. Like all of those players in my mind at one point had their moment of like greatness in the Premier League.
You know, it's funny now having the context of how small of a club Portsmouth really is. I didn't know that back then, you know. I
wouldn't have known.
I've told this story before. Growing up, I used to think that like the Velvet Underground were a really big band because Mom liked them. When I was a kid, I didn't know that they were really much smaller than the Beatles. I thought they were like, or Led Zeppelin. I thought they were like a massive classic rock band.
Yeah.
Because I knew all their songs and they were just iconic. I didn't know, like, it turns out they've only sold 50,000 records or something while the band existed. They were a tiny, tiny indie band that just became legendary later. And that's kind of like this Portsmouth team. They felt like this massive club.
Yeah.
It was hard for us to see that they were just a tiny kind of provincial South Coast club.
Yeah. A club that, at least as far as I'm aware, doesn't have an academy even.
I think you're right about that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard Lukey Moore from the Football Ramble complain about that.
Yeah, they may have one now. I haven't checked into it recently, but I don't think they had an academy for years, which is just insane.
Absolutely insane, especially when their hated rivals and neighbors, Southampton, have one of the most famed and productive academies in the country.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got to just be tearing them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so not the final everyone was expecting, and obviously I'm not like super familiar with their run to the final, but I do know that they did beat United at Old Trafford.
Nice.
On the way to the final. So that is, I mean, that's at that time, especially. That's exactly. No easy feat, especially at that time. That's still, Fergie era.
Oh, that is.
So
that's still Ronaldo United, right? Is that his last year?
It might have been his last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he what was that? He moved on. Did he go straight to Madrid from there?
Yeah, he either moved that year or the year after to Madrid.
Yeah.
But either way, that is prime time Manchester United, unstoppable Manchester United.
Yeah, to squeak out a 1-0 win at Old Trafford, that's huge. That's a huge win.
I'm looking at it now, and I see that was a 6th round tie. So that's right before that. That's a quarterfinal tie.
Quarterfinal tie, okay.
And you guarantee Manchester United thought they had their hands on the cup at that point, looking at the table, who was left in the tournament.
Yeah, that was their FA Cup to lose. And Portsmouth knocked him out. Portsmouth, who was somehow, even that lineup, languishing at the bottom of the Premier League at the time, still managed to knock out United.
Yeah, that's a conundrum. I don't even know how to explain that.
It's such a weird time. Like that team, I mean, Harry Redknapp as the manager, old Harry.
Right.
But like that team, the names we just listed, all those names went on to have Kanu is obviously a little older, but like Sol Campbell, older side. But like, I think all those guys went on to continue to play in the Premier League for years to come.
Oh, definitely.
And like have an impact still.
For sure.
Looking at the Cardiff City side, I don't know a lot of their players.
Yeah. I see a lot of British flags in that lineup.
Yeah. Very, very British heavy. One notable for Arsenal fans is the Aaron Ramsey made his FA Cup debut during that tournament run, so it's good for him. Handsome Ramsey coming through the Cardiff Academy.
Yeah, big things in the future for sure, both looks wise and footballing wise.
Yes, he was a man for the FA Cup. To be fair, he won Arsenal a couple of them.
Yeah, I don't know how many he was involved, but I mean, y'all win it almost every year, I feel like, so he's got a few.
Yeah, he scored some beautiful goals in those games. I think he actually scored the winner in both of our last two FA Cup. I'm pretty sure he scored the winner. I know he scored in one of them, but I'm pretty sure he has the winner in both of them.
Well, there you go, Alex. The seeds were planted back here in 2008.
Yeah, he got a taste for the cup, the magic of the cup. Couldn't get enough of it.
I understand, Ramsey. I get it. I love the magic of the cup.
I do too. I can't wait for FA Cup time. As all the Brits always say, was the third round of the FA Cup's the best time of the year?
Yeah. Third round is maybe a little early for my taste, but I get it.
The big boys finally get their chance. Get the small clubs up against them.
Yeah. There's a lot of exciting stuff. There's always a few cup sets.
So obviously we probably should have went back and maybe watched the match or something, a little highlight reel. But for a final score, a little man of the match and a goal, winning goal from Kanu. Portsmouth walked out 1-0 winners. They did qualify for the UEFA Cup, their first foray into European football from that. So they got relegated, won the FA Cup, and got into their first trip into Europe from the championship the next season.
Wow, that's incredible.
So very interesting time for Portsmouth. Like, I don't even know how you feel as a football fan at that point, as a fan. Like, we just won the FA Cup. That's amazing. We got relegated. This is the worst thing ever. Yeah. We're in Europe, but we're also playing in a championship schedule at the same time. Like, what a crazy time to be.
The championship schedule is not built for midweek European jaunts.
No, that is a brutal place to play in the championship, and they had to squeeze in Europe as well. What a crazy thing to happen for a team to be playing in Europe from the championship.
Yes, that's absolutely insane. I can't think of another instance of it happening.
No, I don't think. I think that's probably the only time. At least in the Premier League era, it's definitely the only time. And yeah, Portsmouth, I still keep an eye on Portsmouth occasionally just to see how they're doing. I'm rooting for them to make their way back up, but they've had a hard time since then. They did make the final again 2 years after that, still fighting their way through, but honestly, the being as small a club as they are and the amount of money they spent in getting relegated and having all those contracts, I think that club was just drained them. I think that time they spent it all to get that one FA Cup in that brief stint in Europe, and they've been paying for it ever since.
Lessons to be learned, huh?
Lessons to be learned.
Don't hire Harry Redknapp, and definitely don't give him control of the bank account if you do.
Yeah.
How do you do an outro?
It's like something's burning. Bert can never figure out how to end the show.
How do you end the show?
How do you end the show?
I
think it's
football. We need a catchphrase.
Yeah, right. We need I'll try and think of a cheesy catchphrase, but until we have our cheesy catchphrase down, thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah,
enjoy this week's this football and hopefully some dramatic news throughout the week to keep us busy until kickoff.
Yes, and shout out to James in LA. Thanks for the feedback, James. I was just going to say I'll try to stop saying so much before everything I say.
Soccer situation. Soccer situation.